Hello, ranchers, dippers, and dunkers alike. Welcome back to Spill the Ranch. I am your host, Noelle Loves Ranch, aka Noelle Loves Sloths on all other social media. I am here to spill the ranch with you every week on Wednesdays. I talk about all things from school and teaching to celebrity gossip and everything in between. In between, in between, including little snippets of my life. But before we get started, please don't forget to give this podcast a glowing 5-star review on Spotify to ensure that I can keep making this podcast for you guys and continue to make it better and better each week. My goal is to continue to improve it and improve the quality of it. So please go ahead and give it a review on Spotify. Also, be sure to follow my social medias on Instagram. I have 2 Instagrams, Spill the Ranch and Noelle of Sloths. Follow those so that you can follow along to stay up to date with my life, but also to stay up to date with things for the podcast. You also should follow those accounts in case you ever want a story or one of your questions to be anonymously featured on the podcast, because that is where I will post questions and links and other things. So today's episode is probably going to be the sauciest episode we've really ever had on here, because I will be spilling all of the ranch about the times the internet has tried to cancel me. In all seriousness, this will probably be the most vulnerable I've ever really gotten on the internet. And honestly, I am a little bit scared for how people may react to, my perspective on some of these moments in my life. And I'm sure people will continue to send me hateful comments. But I just kind of feel like I need to talk about it. And some of these moments that I will be sharing and reflecting on are personal, and I hope I can just shed some light on my perspective of things, and share how I've learned and grown since these things have happened, because I have learned and grown a lot over the past 4 years. But before I talk about any of it, I want to make sure that you all understand I'm not sharing this because I want people to feel bad for me or because I feel like some sort of victim. That's not my goal in sharing this. It's really just about me opening up to you guys because I really have never done that about these things. And my goal is also just for you to understand my perspective, and share how I've taken steps to improve myself as a role model and a teacher and an online presence over the past 4 years. There's a lot of things that people don't see behind the scenes. And a lot of people also don't know what it feels like for millions of people to seemingly hate you, or be against you. But, if you are an influencer and you're in the social media world and you have a decent following, chances are you have experienced something similar to this at least once. Before we get into the cancellations, I do want to give you guys my weekend recap. Keep it light and fun here on the podcast. So I mentioned last week that this past weekend that I was going to be going to the lake with my girlfriends. So we had our annual lake weekend this weekend, and we were outside of Omaha, Nebraska at one of our friends' family's lake houses. So kind of the story behind why we do this. We do it almost every year. Last year we were unable to do it, but other than that, we've done it 4 times, and myself and my college girlfriends, we started doing this after we graduated, and we did a couple years at my friend's lake house in the Ozarks, and then a couple years ago we went to the one in Omaha. So we've switched it up a little bit, but we have been doing this 3-4 years now. And it started with actually just myself and some of the girls who I was friends with from my sorority in college. And kind of over the years, there are some other girls who weren't in our sorority or didn't even go to college with us who come up to the lake with us too. So it's kind of grown into just this friend group thing. And it's just a fun thing that we get to do every summer, and we try to prioritize it the best we can. And I do want to talk a little bit about just like sisterhood. What? Yes, I was in a sorority. However, the friends that I made through that sorority, like, we still choose to hang out with each other every day. Like, especially in college, you will meet a lot of people who you may choose to be friends with out of just pure convenience. Like, it's just easy to be friends with them, or they're just fun to be friends with because they like to do the same things as you do, like go out. And so there are a lot of friendships like that that you will probably have in your life. But these friends are not just convenience friends. Some of us don't even live in the same city. Like, one of my friends who used to live here, but now she's a travel nurse, and she literally flew into Omaha just for this weekend, for this lake weekend. And so we really prioritize each other. And we were kind of talking about this with each other and just how truly special it is to have a friendship like that. It's not something that everybody gets to have, and I feel so fortunate to have these women in my life. I mean, we have so many fun memories together. We've laughed, we've cried together. And I just feel so fortunate because we truly value each other's opinions. We value each other's morals. We enjoy being around each other. We lift each other up. And I just feel so fortunate to have this group of friends because I know how special it is. And some of us like have been friends since freshman year, so like almost 9 years now. And it's just like crazy how time flies when you're having fun. Like, truly, we had so much fun in college, and we have had just as much fun after college as adults as well. So this past weekend was really fun. It was really silly. We did a lot of silly things. We laughed a lot. We danced a lot. We sang a lot. We did a lot of swimming. We did fashion shows, model walks. We had bonfires. We actually did a silly hat exchange. I can't really get into what was on the hats because that was a little inappropriate and will not really be shared with anybody outside of our group. But we did a silly hat roulette. So basically everybody bought a goofy like trucker hat, or a hat that like said something funny on it. Excuse me. And we put it all in a bag, and then everybody just picked a random one. So you got a random hat that someone else had bought. Everybody's were so funny. I'm obsessed with mine. I can't really show it, unfortunately, but we wore them all weekend, and it was just like a really fun thing to do for a group of gals. So that was really fun, and it was just a really nice weekend that, we just get to spend time with each other. It was, for all of us who were in the same sorority, it's just so funny because we all lived together in the sorority house, and then we all lived together in our senior house and senior year of college, and like it's just kind of fun to be able to like live with everybody again. I loved living in a sorority house and living in a senior house. So our sorority house, I want to say around 80 girls lived in when I lived in, so pretty big house. And then in our senior house there was 17 of us. So I just loved being able to get ready, and like being able to get ready with your friends, and being able to like share outfits and share makeup, and like run into each other's rooms when, there's gossip, or, when a boy says something crazy or whatever. I don't know. Just like there's just so many stories, and it's just fun to kind of reminisce on those things when we're all together, and then also make new memories. So it was a great weekend. It was very saucy, and I'm sad it's over. But let's move on. I'm a little nervous to what a lot of you are probably here for, and you're probably like, okay, enough with all this other crap already. Like, let's get into it. So let's get into it. So if you're unfamiliar with me, I have had a presence on TikTok since 2020. I started my TikTok in the spring of 2020. A year later, I hit 1 million followers. So in spring of 2021, I hit 1 million followers. And then by the fall, I had over 2 million followers of that year. I now have almost 5.5 million followers on TikTok. I have 1 million subscribers on YouTube. So I have this presence that I've really had kind of a larger following since 2021. So it's kind of a running joke amongst my friends and I that I get canceled every year in October, because for the past 3 years, there has been some sort of something that has happened in October that has caused the internet to seemingly hate me for the past 3 years in October. So, whether it has been that like the internet has just gone against me, or I have accidentally canceled myself in some way, or someone, whatever, however it has happened 3 years in a row. And I'm going to talk about a couple of those times. I've learned very valuable lessons from each thing. I think the most important thing is when you do, when something happens with the internet, and if they're against you for some reason, I do think it's important to try to learn something from it, even if you feel like you did nothing wrong. Because at the end of the day, there was something about you that made people on the internet unhappy. And so the way I see it is it's important to try to understand what was making people unhappy, and try to look in on yourself and see if you can, improve that part of yourself that made that happen. Because it is never my intention to ever make anybody feel bad. I never want people to feel unhappy. My goal usually is to make people laugh or to entertain. I have had times where my jokes have not come across well, and I'm going to talk about those. But my goal is never to make people feel unhappy, and it's the worst feeling when what I set out to do is to entertain and to make people laugh, and when the opposite thing happens, that's obviously not a good thing, and it makes me sad, and I need to figure out what I can do better, how I can improve for next time. Because at the end of the day, I love making videos. It's what I love to do, and I don't want to stop doing it. So I need to, learn from these things and be better, be a better creator, be a better person, so that I can keep doing this. So let's get into October 2023, Subway Gate. I want to start with this one because this one honestly was never that serious. It just wasn't. So the reason I say that it was never that serious is because it was supposed to be a joke. Nobody was hurt in the production of this Subway Gate. Nobody in real life was mad about what happened. The only people who were upset about the video were people online. So here is what happened. I made a video. Let me backtrack. So last summer, it kind of became my little shtick to, if I ordered something from a fast food place, if the order was wrong in some way, I kind of would play it up for the video, make it very theatrical, and kind of play it up and be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they forgot my fries, or I can't believe they forgot my sauce. whatever it was, I would kind of play it up and people seemed to think it was funny. So I kept doing it and I thought it was fun. So, something that I would often do at school, that we have a Subway across the street from school where I work. And so, sometimes for lunch I get Subway. And I would oftentimes order online. So I would like order ahead. So that way when I would go in, it would just be there and I would pick it up. Super easy. However, if you've ever used the Subway, like the online, like ordering online, it sometimes is really glitchy. And like I'm not lying about that. So what happened was I put in my order and then I came back to school and I made a video. And while I was making the video and opening up the sandwich, I realized like the sandwich was wrong. Like I had thought I had ordered it without tomatoes or cucumbers. Both of those were on the sandwich. I didn't think to check the receipt. I'm sorry. That was my first mistake. But I was so confused. And then I thought that it was an opportunity to just play it up, make it theatrical. Oh my gosh, Subway, they didn't take my tomatoes off. How could you do this to me? I'm so loyal to you. So I really played it up. And I posted the video. I didn't really think anything of it. I thought it would be funny. It was not funny to a lot of people, unfortunately. So the video was doing pretty well. Not a lot of negative feedback. And then the Subway worker who I guess made the sandwich, she posted a video. And in the video, she says that she made the sandwich according to the receipt. And this particular worker, I knew her face, she knew my face, because I go there all the time and I always order my sandwiches without tomatoes. And she even said that in the video. She was like, I did think it was a little weird that Noelle ordered no tomatoes, but like on her order, it said for tomatoes. So we have to, follow the order, which makes sense, of course. And so she posted that video basically like exposing me, because in my video, I said that I like asked for no tomatoes and no cucumbers. And then she made her video saying that, no, I did actually order those things. So the only thing I could think of what happened was, because I did customize the sandwich. When you go online, you can customize the sandwich. I think what happened, because this has happened before, when somehow the page reloaded before I added it to my cart, and it refreshed all my customizations. And so none of my customizations saved before I added it to my cart. So that's what happened. And I didn't realize that at the time when I made the video, obviously. And then by the time she had posted her expose on me, it was too late. I couldn't change it. So, I was like, and so when she posted that, everybody then online turned against me. I mean, this video got like, I don't know, over 10 million views, I think, of my video. And the comments were just filled with people saying how entitled I am, how much of a child I am, how stupid I am, like just all of this. Everybody was against me, and everybody was making videos about it. Like little like TikTok news pages were making videos about it, and people were nicknaming it Subwaygate, which is seriously so funny, and I'm so glad that somebody said that. However, after all this happened, I felt bad, because I felt bad for the Subway workers. I didn't want them to feel embarrassed about this. Like, I just felt bad about the whole situation. So I actually made them a little care package, and I went to the store and I apologized, and they were all so nice. And actually the one who made my sandwich, she was like, she apologized to me, which like she did not need to at all, because she didn't do anything wrong. But she was like, I'm so sorry. Like, I didn't realize this would blow up so much. Like, I can't believe this. And I was like, honestly, it's funny. Like, I'm laughing about it. I think it's funny, because everybody online was so pressed about it, but like it didn't affect anybody in real life. Like, this video, affected nobody. At the end of the day, it was done and gone. I had already eaten the sandwich, so I just thought it was funny that people got so mad at me for for messing up my own order. And ended up posting like an apology video, basically just trying to explain the situation. And I didn't feel like I needed to apologize to the internet. I apologized to the people who I felt deserved an apology, which was the subway workers. And so I apologized to them, of course, but then I posted a video about it and just kind of saying, like, I messed up. Like, I admitted I messed up my own order and I didn't realize it. It was my fault. I'm the one that made the mistake. And, people still comment on my videos about it and still kind of make jokes about it. And I think it's funny. What I learned from it is my sense of humor will not always translate. And so I've had to figure out how to readjust some of my humor to make sure that it doesn't come across in a negative way. And I really try to be more positive. It's hard sometimes to be positive, and I also try not to complain so much, because I'm aware that I used to complain a lot, and I feel like I've gotten better. I really feel like I have. So those are the things that I've kind of learned from it. Just like sometimes, a joke is not going to come across the right way, or my humor is not going to come across the right way. And that's something that I need to adjust, in the future. So that is Subwaygate 2023. Let's talk about the next one, which was a little bit more emotional for me, because it was the first time I ever dealt with extreme internet hate, and I was still a little bit newer to the TikTok scene, and it was in October 2021. I spoke about my reaction to the internet hate on the last episode, but I want to talk a little bit more about like why it happened, and I also, when I look back on this incident, I definitely think my emotions were heightened at the time, because I had never experienced something like this before. And it was the first time that this extreme amount of hatred was just being thrown at me from every which way on every social media platform. People were emailing me, messaging me on TikTok, on Instagram, commenting. I even got hate mail sent to my school, which is actually scary for many different reasons. But I got actual, like, tangible, like a letter, hate mail. I think I saved it. I have it somewhere. So why did this happen? You may wonder. Why was I literally getting hate mail? Well, what happened was I posted a video. It all starts with a video. First of all, this is why you need to remember that everything you post is forever, okay? Just remember that. But what I posted was, I had this series where I would kind of post like skits, theoretical skits about how I would respond to a student having a panic attack or a student not paying attention during class, those sorts of things. So one second. I got an idea for a video to do it about phones, because like kids are addicted to phones. Like everybody knows that. And so I did a video about like how I would respond to a student refusing to get off their phone. So at that time, our policy at school was like, if a student refuses to put their phone away, you can take it, or you can call the administrator and they'll come down and bring the student to the office or whatever. Our administration's really great. Like if we call them, they come and they help with the situation. And our administrators have really good relationships with our students because we are a smaller school. So everybody kind of knows everybody. Oh my gosh, I can't speak. I don't know why my throat's so dry. And so our policy, oh, did I already say the policy? If a student refuses to put their phone away, call the office, basically. So I made a video about that where students needed to put their phone in a basket. And I had this basket that I used as a prop for videos. And it said phone jail on it, which I think really triggered a lot of people in the comments. And then let me just explain the video. So what happened was I made a video where this is all theoretical, by the way. Like, this never actually happened in my class. I have never taken a high schooler's phone away. At my old school, our policy was that students weren't allowed to have phones at all. So I did have to take phones away when I taught 6th grade because that was our school policy. But when I've taught high school, I've never taken one away. And I've never had to send a student to the office for that reason either. So this was a theoretical situation where I go up to a student multiple times and ask them to put their phone away, and they refuse multiple times. So then I come up and I say, can you please put your phone in the phone basket, for the remainder of class? They say no, they refuse. And then I say, well, if you will not put your phone in the phone basket, then I'm going to call the office and have someone come down and get you, and they'll deal with it. So that was the video, basically. And basically the reaction from the internet was I was stealing students' property. I was, potentially harming them for medical reasons. So people were really, really, really upset at the idea of a teacher taking away a student's phone, which to me, I've always grown up with, if you're in a teacher's room, you follow their rules. And so growing up, if a teacher, not that a teacher ever had to take my phone away, never, because it wouldn't have gotten to that point for me. But if they had, I would have had to let them. That's just how I grew up. And that's how most schools operate. But a lot of people in the comments did not agree with that. And there were a lot of people in the comments who were very supportive of the idea of, if a student's on their phone too much, sure, take it away. A lot of people were like, yeah, teachers should be able to do that. But oftentimes negativity is a lot louder than positivity, unfortunately. And so I felt I couldn't get away from all of these negative comments. And people were, making hatred videos about me and comments and everything, like I've said. And I mentioned it last video, how I reacted to this when I found out that this was happening and people were hating it. I had a panic attack and I missed the first few minutes of class, is basically what happened, because I was having a panic attack about it. And I didn't ever think that would happen, but it did. And one of my coworkers was so nice, and she started my class at the beginning of the day since I was trying to calm myself down. I was only gone for a couple minutes, less time than it would take to go to the bathroom. And I pulled myself together, went back in my room, and went on with my day. And even I was observed by my principal an hour later, and it was fine. And what I learned from this whole thing was just how important boundaries are with students. I really listened to a lot of the students in my comment section on that. And to me, me physically taking a student's phone is just not worth losing their trust. And so I never have, and I probably never will take a high schooler's phone, because I know that that's something that's really important to them. Whether or not I think it's a bad thing, I definitely think students are really addicted to it, and I think that it's a problem. I don't want to lose that trust with my students, so it's just something I'm going to stay away from. And so that's really what I learned, is how important those boundaries are. Something else that was brought to my attention in the comments was what if a student needs their phone for health reasons? If that was ever the case, I would know about it and I would never take it away. But people, and you hear a lot about social media literacy. I've been hearing a lot about it recently. And people really do struggle with that online. I think they see one video and they take that uh as truth. Like, people didn't realize that the video I made was just a theoretical skit. A lot of people didn't like, they couldn't comprehend that it was just a skit, and people got very, very angry about it. And I don't even, that's just kind of how it is. And so I had to accept that. And, you know, like I've said, it was my first time experiencing internet hate and how quickly it can spread and how quickly it can happen. But I realized that what I posted must have been really triggering for people. And I also realized there's a lot of strong disrespect for teachers online, especially teachers who have stricter policies, which is not a bad thing, by the way. But I also learned the importance of boundaries for students. And the phone boundary is just not one I'm going to cross ever. And, I've learned a lot of other things, just there's a lot of things when you're a teacher that you learn are just not worth the battle. It's just not worth arguing with a student over. And phones are one of those things, unfortunately, right now. And so I really learned a lot about that, and kind of just learned that, like, as a teacher, to listen to students, hear them out, and, don't argue with them, just listen to them. And, but when I do look back on this particular cancellation, sometimes I still can't believe how hateful people were over something that I, at the time, felt was not like anything out of the ordinary. And I learned that for a lot of people, it was. And so, am I still worried about how addicted kids and just society in general, myself included, how addicted we are to our phones? Like, we are. It's a problem. So that was the very first time I was ever canceled, back in October 2021. That one, like I said, my emotions were definitely heightened because it was the first time. I think if that type of thing were to happen again, I think I would be able to handle it a lot better. I was very lucky through all of these things that have happened about getting internet hate. My friends, my family, my fiance have been with me through all of these things, and they remind me every day of the person I am, and they remind me that I'm a good person, and people on the internet do not see me every day. They don't. Unless you really, really know me, you don't know me, And so I'm not saying I am perfect. I have made mistakes. These were mistakes that I made, and I've owned up to them now. And when I do make a mistake, I will own up to it in the way that's appropriate. And I make a lot of mistakes. I'm human. All humans make mistakes. I'm imperfect. I'm not a perfect teacher. I've made a lot of mistakes as a teacher, actually. And I will continue to probably make a lot of mistakes as a teacher because I've only been teaching for a few years. And so everybody makes mistakes. And I think that, people online expect us to be perfect, but that's just not the reality. Nobody's perfect. Nobody is a perfect person. And sometimes I make the wrong choices. Sometimes I react to things badly. Sometimes I make a joke that does not come across well, or I make a bad joke, or my humor is not funny. And what I strive to do is to just always learn from it and to always try to find a way to be better. And I'm going to continue to do that. And I love making videos and I want to keep doing it. And so I'm going to keep bettering myself and I'm going to do my best. And I really hope people can see that. And I understand if people don't, and that's okay. For now, this is all I'm going to talk about in terms of my cancellations. That's all I'm going to talk about for now. So, that is our show. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Maybe it was just me rambling on and on and on for 35 minutes, but I am so appreciative of every single person who listens or watches this podcast. Thank you guys so much for being here. School starts in a few weeks, so pretty soon I'm going to have to figure out when I'm going to record this because I currently do it in the middle of the day during the week. I'm not going to be able to do that when school starts, but I am excited for school to start. And again, don't forget to give this podcast a review on Spotify. Give me a glowing 5-star review so that I can keep making these podcasts for you guys and continue to make them better and better each week. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram, Spill the Ranch, and Noelle of Sloths, and TikTok if you want, which is Noelle of Sloths. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you have a fabulous and saucy weekend, and I will see you guys next week. Bye.